Welcome to Navigating Your Retirement. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore, and I'm excited to be here today because the man, the myth, the legend is here. That's right. Travis Chance is our host. Travis, how are you doing today? Are you
Tony,
alive and awake?
I am struggling this morning. I'm not gonna lie. The struggle is real, my friend.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, no, it's that time of year, right? It's tax season. If you can't tell, this is not a set of match luggage under my eyes. we these bags should have alligator on them.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's always fun, but always a struggle, usually between February and April, between doing reviews, helping clients, with their taxes, et cetera. It's a struggle. Then you have the kiddos and fam
Oh.
and still dealing with the never ending saga of contractors. It's always fun.
Wow. Yeah, it's lucky you find time to sleep at all at that point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yep. Actually, actually, that's a really sore subject because what you also have to do, and I'm gonna make a confession. I have a real hard time going to sleep. I don't know if you do as well, but I started taking. Trying to remember the name of the thing.
Melatonin?
Well, no, I take melatonin too.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've got to shut my brain off. Like it's
Right.
like I can't just push power like a computer and it just shuts down.
Oh,
Because you're always thinking about what you did that day, what you
yeah.
got to do next day, and so forth. But it's a powder that has like magnesium, and I'm telling everybody out there for a reason. If you have trouble sleeping, you need to find this stuff. I think it's called like C2. If anybody wants it, if you're listening, if you're a client, let me know whenever we talk next time. I'll look it up and I'll give it to you. But Tony, that stuff, when it finally kicks in, you're like, I mean, it's just you're out. So if anybody is like me that has trouble sleeping, now here's the problem, and you don't mean to do it, but if your spouse wants to have a conversation with you, you're going to make them mad because all of a sudden they're going to look over and you're going to be asleep and you're not going to mean to, but it's going to happen. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe you want to do that, maybe you don't want to do that. I'm just giving you a little heads up. Don't mix melatonin and C2 because you will go to sleep and you have no choice. So if you're like me and you're struggling, that might be a solution, but just know it might lead to more problems.
Yeah. Well, and there's a few of them out there with magnesium to help you sleep.
Well, this one is like I said, it's called like C2 sleep.
Huh.
I'll hold on, I'm sorry.
No, I
We always
got
get
it
off
here.
on
I
tangents.
think I got it.
But yeah, here we go. So it is yep, this is it. It's called C2 sleep. And it's got magnesium, theanine, ashwagandha. I hope I'm saying that right. Apigen, cherry, glycine, myo-inos, whatever that word is. I mean, it's just this blend. And now, don't get me wrong. When you wake up, it's like, wow, like you feel refreshed because once your brain shuts down, it shuts down. So you get a hard reset.
Yep.
So that's that's the benefit. Now the bad part is once you take it, you better be prepared to sleep and better have had all your conversations you're going to have for that day, because you're not having any more after you take it. So
Right. That's
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, it's I think it's called CS2 sleep.
yep, that's it.
CS2 sleep. Yeah, CS2, it's drink CS2.
Mhm.
Yep. So wow, that's good to know. I don't struggle from that, but my wife really does.
Well,
Like,
get some for her, and
yeah.
y'all will have much fewer or many fewer conversations at bedtime.
Yeah, she really has a hard time getting to sleep. I don't have a hard time getting to sleep. So that's good. I mean, I typically don't go to bed very early, so when I do, I'm pretty tired, but yeah, maybe I could go to bed a little earlier and get more sleep this
All
week.
right. Well,
Uh,
Tony, two things. One, we're going to talk about some Gen X stuff today, which
all right.
I think that's
That's
important.
you and I.
Spending a lot of been spending a
You
lot
on
of
the young
time.
end, me on the old end.
Yep, been
We
spending on
end cap that.
bookends. We've been
Yep.
spending a lot of time on the current retirees, but uh, just because by the next time we meet, we will probably well, I take that back. We'll have one more show before the Final Four. Who's your all the way? As of right now, we're down to what, Sweet 16. Who's your all the way at this point? We got Florida's already got kicked out of the Final
Yeah.
Four or the bracket. Who's
How about
your
Arizona?
Arizona still in it? Got Arkansas. They're playing Sweet 16. Arkansas in Sweet 16. Duke's playing St. John's. Got UConn still in it with Michigan State, Purdue, Michigan, Alabama. It sounds
Michigan
more like a
State.
bowl season than it does like
I think Michigan State or Arizona.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with basketball U. I'm gonna go with Duke.
Duke.
It's hard to beat the Blue Devils.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are picking them.
Yeah.
I know Carlin Hosking, in charge of Lusan over here, she picked Duke. I think on my bracket, I have Michigan State.
Okay. Well,
so we'll see.
all right. Well, we'll see what happens.
We'll see. I'm not completely busted out of my bracket yet, but it is interesting. You look at some of the top teams and you're like, wait, is this basketball or is this college football we're talking
right.
about?
That's what I said. It sounds more like bowl season.
The Big Ten teams in there. What's going on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, like I said, we talk a lot about baby boomers. We talk a lot about current retirees.
Yes.
But we don't spend a lot of time on Gen X. And Gen X, we are now getting into the phase where roughly those between 45 and 60 years old today are starting to get into what we call the retirement red zone.
Yep.
And that is if you think about it, we talk about sports, we talk about all kind of stuff, but as we talk about football and sports, it's kind of like that 20-yard line to goal, right? It's the red zone. It's when you've been driving down the field and you've had some setbacks and then you made some progress and you keep grinding away, but then you get in that 20-yard line and you're looking for the ability to punch it in, right? You want to go ahead and cross that retirement goal line, so to speak. And that could be challenging for some Gen Xers today, because the Gen Xers, Tony, let's keep in mind the challenges that they face. Because right now, if you think about it, baby boomers actually a good swath of those still had what? They still had pensions, whereas most Gen Xers don't know what the heck a pension is.
No, almost no Gen Xers
Right.
that I know
They
have
had 401k plans, 403b plans, 457s. They have profit sharing plans and defined contribution plans, not defined benefit plans. And that's going to be a challenge because obviously defined benefit plans come with a guaranteed income. Defined contribution plans, 401ks, do not. Some of the things I will say that Gen Xers have seen, which is good because we've experienced some of these really bad periods, is we've had three major market disruptions. We had the dot-com crash, we had 2008, we had COVID. We had the inflation, not quite to that level, but had the inflation collision and transitory collision of 2022. So, I mean, you've seen, if you're a Gen Xer, you've seen a lot of market volatility. So hopefully this is going to resonate.
Yeah.
But we're planning for a path and navigating through your retirement as a Gen Xer in a period where you could potentially have higher inflation versus those that maybe retired after the financial crisis, because the Fed engineered inflation down through quantitative easing and all the printing of money that now we may have to pay for, and that's going to be potentially an issue. And then you compound that with the fact, Tony, that we are going to potentially have a longer life expectancy.
Oh,
Not
Travis, we're gonna
not because, not
people are
because we
living
eat less
longer and
pizza,
longer.
right? Not because
Right.
we eat less pizza,
No.
but
No.
because, modern technology. I
Yep.
mean, think about the techniques and, someone in Boston could do surgery on someone in Savannah through a robot, right? I mean, you're not limited to just a surgeon in one area of the country. I mean,
Right.
think about the possibilities that now opens up for us, and that is starting to reflect in the data,
Yeah.
because right now survey and we'll have to go back. I'll have to go back and source it, but it says 50% of Gen Xers say they don't feel financially prepared for retirement. Only 1 in 6 feel like they've saved enough for retirement, and a growing percentage says that retirement has actually somewhat snuck up on them. Right, it's come faster than they expected. So it's like that old Creedence Clearwater Revival song, "Someday never comes." Well, someday came. Right, we're here. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to spend some time on what I feel are 3 or 4 topics that Gen Xers really need to kind of work through. Because one of the first things, Tony, just jump right in. One of the first things that is a major issue, and it's very simple, but it's a powerful emotional driver, is a lot of people feel like they started too late. And a
Yep.
lot of retirees, it doesn't matter. It's, guys, if you're a Gen Xer, this is not just limited to you. A lot of retirees that came before you felt the exact same way that you feel right now. That doesn't always mean that's the case. Now, I understand, costs being what they are, life happens. You're kind of part of the sandwich generation also, where you're taking care of your kids, you're taking care of your parents. That could also delay retirement, and I completely get it. And most, or a lot of Gen Xers, they think that maybe starting in their 40s or 50s just really put them behind the 8 ball. And don't
Yep.
get me wrong, time in the market sometimes it's oftentimes a lot better than timing the market, but
Yeah.
you can't get that back. But if you do get to the point where you can start putting more money away, it's not all hope is not lost, right?
Right.
It's
I
not
wish I had done that way, way earlier. My wife and I both. I mean, I didn't even contribute to our retirement account until I was almost 35, 40 years old. Had I started earlier, I'd be set. And
right.
had I contributed more, I'd be set. But, my wife and I got a late start. So we take advantage once we hit 50 of the catch up contributions. And that's important.
Well, and Tony, if I'm not mistaken, you've now hit the big 6-0, correct?
I just turned 60 this month. Yep.
You're about to also get the bonus catch up too, remember?
Yep. Yeah.
So you get to put even a little bit more away. But a significant portion that didn't seriously begin until their 40s or 50s. The problem is, starting earlier, it may not have been an option, Tony. And you
Right. Sure.
can't beat yourself up. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to validate the reason why you did or didn't do it. That's not
Sure.
why I'm here. It's just, it's all hope is not lost. As long as
Right.
you're still working, as long as you're still able to put that foot forward,
Oh,
that's
for
what we
sure.
have to do. And we have to
Yeah.
go from here forward. We can't go back, right?
Right.
We'd all love to go back to 1985, that one pivotal moment in time when Marty McFly kept, going around.
Right.
But who can do that? None of us.
Right.
So, those that are now in your 40s or 50s, like Tony said, take advantage of at least start with, if you didn't start before, make sure you're contributing up to getting at least the match, right? If your employer's a safe harbor match, which means if you contribute 5, they'll give you 4%, at least do 5. If you can do 10, that's great. But start small and start to build. Maybe think about putting some of your bonus, or putting some of, maybe if you get a pay raise, say, hey, take half of your raise. If you're able to pay your bills, take half your raise. Instead of consuming it today, just put that away. Right. So if you get a 5% raise, take another 2%, put it towards your retirement. Maybe take 3 and adjust your spending and your living cost. So that's important, because the earlier that you can do that, as Tony said, the more you're going to be able to save, because the compounding of that money is going to be more dramatic.
Right.
If you wait until later to really throttle up, you might still get some really good progress and some really good compounding, but a couple years makes a lot of difference. And for a lot of people, Tony, the biggest issue is, and I think what causes the most anxiety, is they see today where Social Security may not be in its current form, may not pay out, or I think, what is it, 2033 now? It kind of fluctuates between 33 and 35. They say we may not have but 75 cents on the dollar. And, they say, well, crap, I don't have Social Security to its full force, and I don't have my 401k. I'm just not going to do anything. And I can't tell you or impress upon you enough, don't do that, right? At this stage, at this time in life, you've got to make that commitment to yourself, because your strategy right now should be to put that money in a account that's going to be compounding. Also, Tony, one of the biggest mistakes that I also see being made is people that get emotional when they look at things like what's going on in Iran. And
Oh
even
yeah.
for people our age, they're like, oh crap, I can't put that money in something that's going to be volatile, because I may need it. And, yes, if you're going to need it in the next 2 years, okay, I understand, keep some on the sidelines. But if you're in your 40s, or even in your early 50s, or heck, even in your 60s, you need to really think about that, because you may not be able to give up that amount of compounding. And if you just put your money or park it in cash, paying 3 or 4%, I understand the volatility and the ups and downs may make you a little more uncomfortable. But if you're appreciating at, say, 6 or 8 versus 4 or 3, that's a huge long-term difference. That could be the difference in your having a gap and not having a gap in retirement.
Yeah. Yeah. And people think, oh, I'm headed to retirement, so I shouldn't have money at risk. But if you're going to most people spend at least 20 years in retirement now. And
For
some
us,
30 and
I think
40.
it's going to be closer to 25 to 30.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people will be 30. I mean, my grandfather lived to 101. He was active to 100. You got to prepare for these things. More people are living longer and longer. So you do still need growth. So it really comes down to, like you said, when do you need that money? And even if you're my age, 60, I want to leave most of it in growth, because I don't need it yet. You got to have some money on the sideline. The roof goes bad, or hey, when I retire, I want to buy an RV. Where's that money at? You don't want to pull out 50 grand or 100 grand out of you don't want to pull $100,000 out your first year of retirement out of, and tank your accounts that are earning that compounding interest. So you got to kind of plan for those. And that's where you come in. You help people adjust and figure out where the best place for their money is, right?
Well, Tony, your risk tolerance, and we talk a lot about making sure you tailor your portfolio to your specifications. We're bigger. I'm a bigger guy. You're a bigger guy. We can't buy stuff off the rack. Why? Because it may be able to cover us, but it's not going to look real good on us. Right? I mean, let's just face it. I'm a big guy. I have to get my suits and some of my stuff kind of tailored to fit my needs, because your retirement doesn't just need to be able to cover you. It needs to look good on you too.
Yeah.
And that's where you need that really tailored plan and that risk profile to match what your investments are doing. Because at the end of the day, you control your own destiny. And what's risky to me may not be risky to you, and vice versa. We all have different ideas. We all have different perspectives on what goes on in the market. But we talked about just a few minutes ago about the savings gap being real. And it is completely real, because right now, what, some baby boomers could get away with retiring with, say, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, because they may have had the benefit of a pension. They were able to get Social Security in its full glory. that's not a real savings gap, because they're only planning for, maybe say they have a $6,000 a month need, and I'm just giving you a round figure, and let's say Social Security and pension provide 3,500, 4,000 of that. Well, now you're only talking about $2,000 a month. That could be sustained and planned for with something, three, four, $500,000, and actually have a plan that could last them as long as they do. The problem is, with no pension and with Social Security potentially for our generation not being what it may be or may have been promised in the past, then you may actually, there's some estimates right now that estimate that Gen Xers might need between $1 million and 1.2 for retirement.
Yeah.
But if you look at the averages, most Gen Xers right now have between 6 and 750,000.
Yep.
So that's a huge gap. That's a 30 to 40% gap. And you look at that, and it's no wonder why people get so frustrated, and they say, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to retire, or I can't do this. You certainly can, but you have to start planning today. I'm sorry to say this, but I actually used this line the other day. A client came in and was telling me about one of his coworkers, and saying that, he's told him about his pre-planning for retirement, how much less stress that he has on himself now. And his coworker's like, well, yeah, I'll get to it. I'm only 2 or 3 years out from retirement. He keeps pushing it off. And I said, you may want to relay that planning for your retirement may need to take precedent over planning for your vacation this year, because most people plan for their vacation, a lot more than their retirement. But my question is, which one are you going to be on longer?
Right.
That's the one you need to put the most emphasis in. And Tony, what we are seeing is many are thinking that now they're going to be forced with working longer, or they're going to have a very reduced standard of living. Maybe they can only take 50 or 60 or 70%. And that's not what people want to do. And I get it. But the problem is, you can't chase the number. You have to work towards the number. And whenever you lay your plan out, especially like for you, and I'm gonna focus on you for a second, Tony.
Sure.
Your income plan at 60 years old, I'm quite sure that you, and even if you don't lie to me, I'm quite sure that you and Mrs. Shore have already sat down and said, you know what, the kids are out of the house. These are our bills. What's the number that we're going to need to live comfortably? I'm sure you guys already kind of have an idea what that is, right?
Yep, we do.
Okay. So then what do? You start backing your retirement in and say, okay, Social Security, maybe you're going to take your full benefit. She's going to take half of your benefit, or maybe all of hers is greater than that. Then you say, okay, how much do we need? There's a process, and there is a plan. There is a way, a method to get to your number. And then if you say, hey, we need to have $1 million, Mr. and Mrs. Shore, and we're going to work another 5 years. Okay, well, we have 650 right now. Okay, how much are you going to need to save so that you actually meet your target? If it's a bull market, you could probably save X. If it's a bear market, it needs to be Y. But then you have a spread that you can start to kind of form to make sure that you're going to hit your number. Tony, does that make sense?
Yeah. And that's exactly what we've
puts it in real
talked about,
in real chewable bites that you can actually absorb and actually plan for. The problem is if you let it get overwhelming, it will be overwhelming.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. Okay. It does not have to be. Nothing's going to go perfectly. Nothing's going to go to the T. You have to plan on both sides. If things are really bad, things are really good. And you pick your path, and then have the ability to kind of transition. If things are good, great. If things are bad, well, we already kind of knew that. We're planning for that.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
But what makes that so much of a challenge is what we're going to talk about next week, because as you know, we tend to get long-winded. So I've got two other points that I think are really good points. I'm going to wait and save those for next week, and we're going to do a part 2 for this because I don't want to shortchange them. But Tony, I think a lot of Gen Xers are sitting out there just like you and I. We see the number is getting closer and closer and closer.
Yeah.
The question is, what are you doing about it?
Right.
If the answer is nothing, God help you. If the answer is, I don't know what to do, that's why you need to give us a call, 877-269-0839. That's 877-269-0839.
All right, Travis. Well, that's great. Listeners, again, pick up the phone, give Travis and his team a call, 877-269-0839. And that does it for today's episode of Navigating Your Retirement with our host, Travis Chance.